Slave field labor was vital for providing cotton, which was a very important manufacturing material in making textiles, which in turn caused even more labor and oppression against slaves, women, children, and natives. Cotton is a fiber that is grown from a plant and was harvested with slave labor in the 18th century. In this photo, African slaves are picking cotton on an unnamed plantation. Slave field labor created mini markets that caused the economy to grow and helped America become one of the most powerful countries in the whole world. Slave labor was very important to making profit and it helped create mini markets. This in turn caused the economy to become very competitive with the other nations. And as previously stated, they were very important in the development of the textile industry. In addition, once the plantation owners gathered the cotton, they shipped the cotton off to many places, especially to the northern textile factories. According to Sven Bucket in his book Empire of Cotton, he states Liverpool Chronicle and the European Times warned that if slaves ever should be emancipated, cotton cloth prices might double or triple. This proves even more how the textile industry and economy was very dependent upon slave field labor. Without the slaves' work in the fields, the industries could have died and the American economy would decline. The textile industry prospered from the exploitation of these slaves, which in turn caused a increase in the economy of America and caused much profit for the high class. This photo depicts Eli Whitney's cotton gin. The cotton gin's job was to remove the seeds from the plant in a efficient manner. However, even though Eli Whitney did patent the cotton gin, it was heavily speculated from many historians that it was actually Catherine Green who devised the machine, and some of the actually slaves that have made these machines and have been credited with possibly contributing to the development of this specific machine. And what this machine specifically did was, like I said, it helped in an efficient way remove the seeds from the actual cotton plant itself. But this machine also helped with actually like the factory itself, because it not only was good for the textile industry because it produced a lot of cotton, it also was a ingenious machine that also contributed to factory itself and expanding the technological advances within factories, and also in general though this machine could theoretically lead to even more oppression though, because since there was such a great supply of cotton, they needed even more factories to make all the textiles because they were getting such a massive supply of it, and they needed more people to operate the cotton gins, and they just kept needing more cotton when it came to it. The textile industry prospered from the exploitation of people. Not only did they exploit African slaves, they also exploited children and women. According to Sanga's Industrial History Center, the reason why was because women were apt to stay in the city only a few years before leaving to become wives and mothers, thus preventing the establishment of a permanent working class. And women were less expensive and more easily controlled than men. And it was the same thing with the children. The children were thought of to be easy to control and not as demanding as, say, a man might be. So, um, since they were just thought of much easier, like children and women were just thought of being as much easier to oppress, along with African slaves. This photo depicts a woman working in one of those machineries. Northern textile factories and working a machine. You didn't really need to have super complex skill, so a lot of these people also really thought it was good to have the women and children in these factories because there just wasn't that much skill that needed to be into it. But the environment in these places were not good. They had long shifts and the pay was non existent to an extent. They were getting paid extremely little, not what they should be. And really it's just a constant cycle of oppression when it comes to this textile industry. The African slaves get oppressed in slave field labor. Then, since that fuels the textile factories themselves, the textile factories also oppress the people who have jobs inside them, whether it's the woman and the children. While the economy was very successful because of the textile industries, they needed the land to be able to supply the industry with the cotton plant itself. Therefore, the government encroached on the natives' land in order to plant the cotton plants, so the slaves could harvest them for the textile factories. Industrialization caused the economy to grow, which made America again extremely powerful. And because of the field labor producing a lot of cotton to be used in the textile industry, they needed a lot more supply of cotton, which means they needed land to plant the cotton itself. So not only did the oppression of the African American slaves influence the oppression of the children and women in the textile factories themselves, the oppression also subsided over to the natives, with the result being that they were forced to leave their own lands. This map here shows how it shows Cherokee Indian land, and they occupied a lot of land, and there's a lot of land that the United States themselves wanted to use to plant the cotton, and they used it for many reasons why they wanted land, but one of them was because they needed the land to plant a lot of stuff, including cotton. So, in totality, slave field labor was vital for providing cotton, which was very important for the textile industry and just the economy itself. But because of the cotton industry not only oppressing the African slaves, it also caused even more labor for the children and women and oppression against them, and oppression against natives for the United States encroaching on the land. So it's like this ongoing cycle of slavery, which is just constantly, going on, and it's really unfortunate that this happened, and in totality, since the slave field labor just it was just it's a never ending cycle. The textile industry caused extreme amounts of oppression that was not needed, and it really should have just not have happened, and it's really unfortunate that it did.